Welcome back. This is Club Rico, Right Wing Rico, and the Safe and Effective podcast. So we're back again. We're going to finish going over this train wreck, but eye-opening interview with Mr. Jiggly Dick himself, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Everybody keeps calling him Vladimir, like Putin. No, it's Voldemort. It's not Vladimir. It's Voldemort, like one of the people from a Harry Potter book. Everybody, let me make something abundantly fucking clear to everyone. And I don't care about language right now because we almost lost our lives. Do you understand what would have happened if Harris and Biden would have gotten their way and the World Economic Forum and the globalists would have gotten their way a few months ago? We would have went into nuclear war with the Russians. I swear to God, the American memory is so goddamn short. Do you guys not remember what just happened a few short months ago? We literally almost went into war against the Russians. Luckily, cooler heads prevailed because Vladimir Putin knew that in only 2 more months, Biden would no longer be in office. Trump would take over, who would be a smarter, more accomplished leader that would guide us out of war. You got to understand, the crash outs is what we call these people who are I'm on TikTok on accident, basically. Everybody in TikTok's like, oh, I hate Trump. Trump's so bad. He's this, he's that. Go to their profile. They're all either black or they're gay. 2 demographics that no longer are even having children anymore. They don't have families. They don't care if you crash out and start a nuclear war or start just a war. I don't even believe nukes are real. There's too many cycles in this world. We wouldn't have been the only ones to use ones against a population if they were real. But for argument's sake, let's say nukes exist. The people who are calling for war are people that don't have children, people that are never going to have children, people that hate people that have children. They want these wars. They're ready to crash out over what? Zelenskyy? Look at this. Look at this asshole. What idiot reporter is asking this of Trump?
She's asking what if Russia breaks the ceasefire? Well, what if anything? What if the bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama.
Listen, Trump is absolutely correct. Well, what if the reporter, what if they break the ceasefire? Then they fucking break it. It's broken then. So what? You think, oh, excuse me. You want Trump to make it even more clear. I'll speak for my president. I put him there. I voted for him. I went out and campaigned on him. I do these goddamn shows so I can talk to people about him and spread information. I fight against leftists on the internet for years now. So I'm qualified to speak for my president. Under no circumstances. There's nothing the Russians can do. Vladimir Putin could fly to Washington, D.C. and take a shit on the Lincoln Memorial tonight. And we still would not enter into a war. We would not start World War III, and we would not enter a nuclear armed conflict with the Russians. I don't give a damn what Putin does. I don't care what the Federation does to the Ukrainians. They are not our responsibility. And I'm tired of seeing a pattern of all blacks and all gays asking for us to go to war and talking about how much they hate Trump because he won't go to war. Initially, in the year 2016, 2017, everybody, I kept noticing, like, where are all these black people with all this animosity? They were just putting him on all their rap songs. Now they hate him. It was weird. But I'm noticing the same people were saying Trump's going to start a nuclear war. You fast forward, Trump won't start a nuclear war. I hate him. What the fuck? What are you talking about? He wouldn't. You said he was going to start a war. He actually stops all the wars. Now you're mad because he won't start a war. A reporter is yelling out, well, what if Putin breaks the ceasefire? Then it's fucking broken. It doesn't matter. What about we are not going to war with the Russians Don't you understand? Under no circumstances are we going to waste American lives on an unnecessary war. I don't know if you guys have checked. Last time that I checked, we have the Canadians to the north, the Mexicans to the south. Neither one are invading. We have two big, beautiful oceans protecting us. There's nobody threatening to invade us. We are more threatened by the Europeans with their authoritarian ideology of literally arresting people for posting memes and posting criticism of the government, blocking free speech, importing the third world, and just literally giving over their sovereignty to people to Islamist extremists. We have nothing in common with the Europeans anymore. We barely share English with them, if that's what they're speaking, their own version of it, the Queen's English. They want to fight the Russians. We don't. Trump's making it abundantly clear. Well, what if this? Well, what if? It doesn't matter what if. We are not going to war with the Russians. Why do I have to keep telling you all this? There's no way you're going to convince us that a war against Russia makes sense. War is hell. Have you ever been to war? Have you ever seen somebody that came back from war? The only people who are calling for war are the people who are going to duck and dodge and move hell and high and earth to make sure they don't have to go fight in it. The people that are calling for the wars are the ones who are never going to expect to go fight in it. We're not going to war. It doesn't matter if they break the ceasefire. They could break 100 ceasefires. Matter of fact, Russia could attack Poland. We're not going to war. Russia could drop a bomb on the UK. We're not going to war. Trump and Vance made it abundantly clear. We're not parties of Article 5 anymore. If the Europeans want to put their own little militia together and drive into Kiev and go hunt, good luck and Godspeed. American troops are not doing it. American troops are for American land, America first. We will protect our own borders. We are not protecting the borders of the freaking Ukraine. They are not in the EU. They're not part of NATO. They're not an ally. We're tangled up in them because of all the bullshit from Obama and Biden back in with the Minsk Accords and Victoria Nuland. We're wrapped up in there because our previous administrations were planning on invading Russia. We wanted to weaken Russia. To what point? You built up the strongest military that the Europeans have seen in almost 100 years in the Ukraine, and they got swiped. And you think we're about to send American? You think if the American military could have worked with the Ukrainians to go wipe out the Russians, we would have. We don't stand a chance. Trump knows it, but he's not going to embarrass the country and admit it. Trump knows we don't stand a chance against the Russians. Nobody does. Luckily for us, the Russians don't want to fight. The Russians want to do business. The Russians want to come back into the fold. The Russians asked if they could join NATO. Problem is, if the Russians are a part of NATO, then how are they going to siphon from their tax base to send money into the pockets of all these goddamn politicians the way USAID did? Without using the Russians as an excuse for why you need defense spending. Well, defense against who? Martians? What was that dude in Africa that was kidnapping all the kids? Remember they had him all over the news. Well, you need a boogeyman, at least one. Right now, it's Russia. It was bin Laden before that. It was Saddam Hussein before that. It was Gaddafi before that. Do you not see the pattern here? They want us to go to war. We are not going to war under no circumstances, especially over a trash can toilet called the Ukraine. We're not doing it. And Trump's trying his best to explain this. Why does he have to keep explaining this to you? We're not going to war.
Obama, they respect me. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. I don't know what. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if he can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States.
Facts. Without us, Zelenskyy is talking that big shit. For one thing, he's alone. in the White House, surrounded by American Secret Service, the president, J.D. Vance, both are twice his size. And he's sitting there talking like he's an equal. You are subservient. You are beneath us. You are beneath them. Who are you to sit here with such a smug attitude, roll your eyes, and backtalk our president when he's literally trying to save what's left of your people and your country? After today, because the Ukrainians allegedly put him in power, the Ukrainians no longer deserve a state. I'll say it right now. That this was the end of the Ukraine. The way it works in life when it comes to people, right? If you have something and it's yours, but you don't have the strength or the resources to keep it, well, then it's mine. That's the way it works. If you can't stop somebody from taking it, then it's not yours. There's an illusion that goes around where you think because you can call the police that you're safe. You don't need men. You don't need protection. You don't need to be armed. You don't need to be know how to fight, because you could just call police to come save you. There won't always be somebody to come bail you out. The Ukrainians are talking as if they are the Israelis and the Zionists, the people, the Jews in Israel. This is how they talk to people, because they know they have America in their back pocket with a dog leash on. And there's nobody that can stop us from defending Israel. And nobody can explain to me why, but we are. Okay. The Ukrainians are talking as if they are the Jews. They are not. We don't owe them a debt of gratitude. They're not our beacon of light in the desert of the Middle East. The Ukraine is a literal dump. The word Ukraine stands for the borderland. It's literally the borderlands of Russia. It's a part of Russia. Those are the cousins of the Russians. They don't have any strength. How are you going to flex our own muscle back at us in our face in the Oval Office? He's literally flexing. He's talking with our military, our weapons backing him. That's where his attitude is coming from. And to reflect it at our own president and vice president, are you insane? They don't deserve a country anymore. They won't be able to keep it. And Trump, why are we still sitting here arguing with this man about helping this man? I need to get to the bottom of this. Why are we trying so hard to help somebody? The way it works in life, you help those that are already trying to help themselves, not somebody that's already jumping off the cliff suicidal. I'm not jumping off of a building to to save a person with a parachute if all they're going to do when we land is go back into the building, take the elevator to the top, and jump again. I'm going to save my breath. Obviously, this guy is ready to crash out. He's suicidal. Without the American military, they wouldn't have lasted 2 days. He says, we've been alone. You alone when? We gave you 350. We've been there. The only reason this war lasted this long and so many people died is because we gassed you up and we literally we wound you up with a key in your back like a wind-up toy, and you're draining your money. Trump is being honest. You're not going to win this fight. The fight is over. The money laundering scheme is over. I'm surprised he even came to Washington. He won't be able to go back to the Ukraine. They already won his head. Not the Russians, the Ukrainians. And then he does this today? My God.
He said, your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. You'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out.
They can't fight it out. They have no more weapons. And apparently they're running out of deficit. They have no money. So the fight's over. That means you don't have a state anymore. That means they will have a government of the Ukraine in exile in another country. The Russians will take the territory. They tried to make a deal today where it was a mineral deal, where the United States is going to say, look, we're going to take all these minerals. You owe us, we have a $500 billion cap. We're going to add factories. We're going to export the minerals. We have an agreement with you. We can bring the agreement to the Russians and say, hey, look, now this is our territory. Don't attack it. Putin, if he likes Trump and he feels like, okay, you know what, maybe we will we won't go any further than this. But we're going to go at least 50%. Right now, they're saying we have 20%. It's more like 45. Let's go to 60% of Ukraine is going to belong to the Russians. You guys keep the borders along Poland and what is that, Lithuania, whatever. You guys can keep those lands. We're going to take the rest of it. And Trump will say, well, look, don't blow them up anymore. Here, paperwork, we signed on it, we have a deal. After, bro, the Kremlin is laughing its ass off right now, just like most of the modern world. Because you know what they're all saying? You know what Viktor Orban in Hungary is saying right now? He's saying, I fucking told you, this guy is an idiot. Viktor Orban is somewhere in Hungary. He's in Budapest right now, drinking champagne, and everybody in his cabinet is laughing because you know why? They've been targeted by the EU and NATO and almost threatened with being removed from NATO because they did not support this idiot in Kiev and Jiggly Dick Zelenskyy. Now, and this is what Trump did. Trump said, I'm glad that everybody got to see this exchange. Now you can see why nobody wants to work with them. You can't work with him. He's a moron. He didn't deserve to be in this position anyway. This is what he does. This is what he's done. This is all he's good for. That's Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Jiggly Dick Zelenskyy. This is him, Mr. Jiggly Dick. Mr. Jiggly Dick. That's what he does. He does not fight wars. He's not a military guy. He's not a negotiator. He should not be in this position to begin with. Hey, let's send him some more money. But why are and honestly, Trump and JD Vance are sitting there. They should have just packed them out. And what's Secret Service going to do? Grab the president? Grab the vice president? Everybody, if I'm the president and I smack up another leader of another country and I smack fire out of them and I jump on them, you better not touch me or you're fired. It's not over until I stop. They should have packed this disrespectful piece of dog shit out. They should have stomped them right there. That's how you show force. When there's men talking, you speak with respect because it can escalate. Trump just kicked him out of the White House. That's not good enough. I wanted to see a little bit more action. He deserved it. Look at them. Look, they got to check him right here.
The Oval Office try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems.
Why did everybody gloss over that? He said conscripts. What is a conscript? A conscript is somebody who is kidnapped. You're kidnapping men from the streets of Kiev and Odessa because you're having a manpower problem. What that means is that you're kidnapping senior citizens and women, and you're throwing them in vans and forcing them to go die on the front lines. He dressed that up so well, but he made a really good point. I believe if not just the Geneva Convention, that's definitely a human rights violation. Conscripting people and sending them to the front, no training, just throwing them out there to get into the meat grinder, into the blender called the Russian Federation. That's disgusting. He's just doing it. He's doing it. And Vance, rightfully so, called him out. And this guy has an attitude. Oh, you were not there. What do you mean? How do we know? We have fucking TVs. How do you think we knew you were at war? I'm not in Kiev. I'm not in the Ukraine. I wasn't in Bakhmut, but I was there when they changed the name to Artemis. I definitely know that 50,000, 60,000 men died in a month in one city. Oh, yeah, 50,000 total Ukraine. No. 500,000 men wiped. 3 generations gone. Are you kidding me? It's only a country of 36 million people. More than half of those people are now spread out all over the EU. The country only has about 13 million people left. How many of those were women and how many were men? How many are children? The population is damn near gone. There is no more Ukraine. That's over. And this guy is acting like he doesn't understand that. You know why? Because he's not a genius. He is he's a dick jiggler. He's not a military strategist. He's not a general. He's not an admiral. He is a dick jiggler. You let somebody who's jiggling his dick tell you to go outside. I'd rather listen to a old reality TV show host like Trump before I listen to Jiggly Dick tell me to go out and fight. At least when Trump was on The Apprentice, he has experience, he has knowledge, and he has history. We know his background. We know if he's prepared to lead. Jiggly Dick does not. He has a history in playing the piano with his penis. He has a history in cross-dressing and dancing in high heels proficiently. Really good at it. But just like the rest of the guys from the World Economic Forum and the Davos group, he is gay. He is a cross-dresser. That is a part of their culture. And they've literally from the top down are now changing the culture of our country as well. Why do you think these trans and gay movements are pushing so hard? It's top down. He works directly for the people that were trying to send us into this war. If it wasn't for Trump, soldiers, American troops would be laying all over the fields in the Donbass right now. And they would still be lying, telling you, we're going to win. They're just telling you that to gas you up. You didn't have a chance. How many news agencies for the past 2 years have been telling us the Ukrainians are winning? It's going to be a stalemate. It was never a stalemate. There was never a chance of them winning. They were never winning at any time at all. This was a lie. They were gassed up. Their heads were pumped up to walk themselves into an ass whooping. Worse than ass whooping. A beat down beyond words. And right now, these two should have packed him out. Look how it gets worse. Stop cutting him off. Why are you letting him cut you off? Check him. What do you mean? I don't need to go to the Ukraine to know what problems you have. You're begging my Congress in front of the world for money, telling me the problems you have. We're going off of what you're telling us and what the news reports are saying. That's all we know. And that's all there is. You're here begging for money for this to the same people where we're not in Ukraine, but you're still begging us for money. What do you mean?
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people.
Look at him shaking his head, making noises under. Bro, pop him like a child. Would you let your kid talk back to you when you feed your child and you clothe them and you give them a place to live? Trump is his daddy. JD Vance is stepdaddy. Respect your parents. Without them, there is no Ukraine. That's why we should have never helped them in the first place. But it wasn't up to us. It was up to these idiot liberal Democrats, these communists that wanted to see a bunch of straight, high testosterone, healthy men with families and children go fight in a war, and then they would just be here to take over the country because all the conservative men, the fighters, the brave ones, they would be off in another part of the world getting slaughtered. So guess who's going to be here? The men that don't fight, trans men, gay men, pretending to be women and black people, because they're definitely not going to fight shit. So, and that's who will be here in the country. Will be basically defenseless. That's all turning around now, but that's where we almost lost everything. That's why I'm upset about this. Pissed.
Bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people in your military? Or do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean.
What do you mean, even us? Don't compare yourself to us. We're not begging you for a goddamn thing. You're begging us. You don't make that comparison. You don't compare yourself to us. We're not on the same page.
Don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
Now, I don't like that he threatened us also. And this is where Trump gets upset. This is where Trump gets pissed. And Trump's normally a cool dude. He's a comedian. But this is when my president got pissed. This is when he got mad. Because low key, that's a sideways threat. If you were in the hood or if you were in any other situation and you trying to talk to a dude and he says, you know what? Yeah, I hear what you're saying right now, but you know what? You're going to have later it's going to be a problem. Later, somebody's going to do something to you later. You're going to be like, wait, Are you, wait, you going to do something? How are you going to say something's going to happen to me? Are you in control of it? Are you going to make something happen to me? How are you going to say I'm not going to be okay? I'll be just fine. You're the one with the problem. But it sounds like you're sideways making a threat towards me. This is when Trump and Vance should have got up and just packed them out. Just put them on to the hood.
You don't know that. You don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you. I'm
Because
not
you're
saying.
What do you mean? You just told us, well, yeah, you're going to feel. You don't tell me what I'm going to feel. You don't have no control over that. If that was the case, why we haven't felt it by now? No one's threatening to invade us. No one's that stupid. You think you're us. Bro, where did they? Okay, I'm not going to ask. I know where they found this clown.
Position to dictate that. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to.
Look at him. Look at that face he's making. Bro, slap the shit out of him. Bro, do not let Jiggly Dick talk to you crazy.
We're going to feel very
You'll
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You'll feel-
Bro, he's talking to Trump like we're equals. I'll be honest with you. I don't appreciate any parts of this conversation. This conversation went on for way too long. JD Vance should have had his way with him.
influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and it happens to be right
From
now.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
President,
position.
I
You don't
was-
have the cards right now.
You don't, it's a metaphor. If life is a game of poker, you don't have a hand. We have a boat. The Russians have a full house. You have a 2 and a jack. You do not have the cards to be talking about going all in. When he's asking for nuclear weapons to attack the Russians, that's him saying, I want to go all in. But he's playing with our money. If he goes all in and we're supposed to be backing him, that means we go all in. That's a bet we cannot make. That's why Trump's saying, you don't have the cards. Well, I'm not here to play cards. It's Jiggly Dick. It's a metaphor. That means that you don't have a leg to stand on. You don't have any input. You don't say anything. You don't have the cards. You're not in a position to talk to us crazy or to make threats against the Federation. You don't have the cards. That's what he means. And everyone's acting so confused. Oh, Trump doesn't jump. Just shut up. Go to TikTok. Go see what the people look like who hate Trump and what they say. And look at their history. None of them are parents. None of them are straight. All of them are black. We know what the family structure of that community looks like in this country. Those are the wrong people for you to be looking to take advice from or to join forces with. That's the wrong community. You're better off being an American than being a black. One of them has a country, a nationality. The other one is just a color. According to the UN, you're not even a human if you're only a color. People have to figure out what they're going to do.
With us, you start
I'm
having
not
cards.
playing cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very serious, Mr. President. I'm very serious.
You
Stop cut, bro. Why? He's not in a position to keep cutting you off. I know I keep cutting you off, stopping the video, but it just gets on my damn nerves. It's pissing me. I'm glad I wasn't there. I'm sorry.
gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
of
of
the
millions.
And Trump's right. You're gambling. Listen to what Trump's saying. But this other guy's cutting him off. You can't hear him. He said you're gambling with not just with our money, but you're gambling with the lives of millions of Ukrainians. You have a jack and a 2. We know what the cards are on the table. You don't even have one pair. I have a boat. The Russians have a 4 of a kind and a royal flush. You don't have any cards, but you still want to go all in and gamble with the lives of the Ukrainian people. Sure, in the big scheme of things, all the Ukrainian men are gone, and it's just a bunch of really pretty Ukrainian women, single as shit, being sent all over the world, looking for husbands and looking for boyfriends. But at what expense? You wiped out 3 generations, hundreds of thousands of men, not 50, 60,000, 500,000 is what the estimate is. They were trying to say 390 injured. No, no, no. It's more than that, KIA. There will be nothing but women left in the Ukraine. All the men are gone.
It's a people. You're gambling with World War III.
Well, no, he doesn't have the resources to be gambling with World War III. Only we would. So why are you, Trump, connecting us to Jiggly Dick? Stop saying he's dancing with World War III. No, he's not. Fighting the Russians as a Ukrainian is not World War III. The Americans fighting the Russians with the Ukrainians is possibly World War III. Because different powers will come in and want to fight. The Chinese, the Iranians, the British, which they have a shit fleet. They have nothing. All of NATO put together has nothing. So, but we're going to call it World War III. But you think we stand a snowball's chance in hell against a cyber attack from the Chinese, a kinetic strike from the Russians? Plus, we don't know what the North Koreans and everybody else who's waiting. We don't have no idea. Private contractors from other countries. We have no idea. We have no clue what's waiting for us if there was a war. This is insane. And we're just literally letting this guy talk to us. Just talk crazy to us.
Gambling with World War III. You're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should.
I'll be honest with you. The American military would have had a hard time 2 years ago with Wagner. Remember Wagner? Remember Prigozhin? He died in that plane crash mysteriously when they found all that money at his house. Prigozhin was over Wagner. Wagner was a military company made up of prisoners from Russian and Eastern European bloc prisons. He recruited violent prisoners, and they said, if you fight patriotically, you can earn your freedom. They sent in 1,500, 2,000 Wagner ex-cons to fight, and they took over whole cities and wiped out thousands and tens of thousands of Ukrainians. Wagner. They actually have now rolled the Wagner troops into the Federation because they had their own private military company. Remember, this is not a war for the Russians. They, just like we've never declared war in a lot of countries, the Russians have never declared war officially on the Ukraine. So they're not bound by the rules in different laws in regards to war. So what did they do? They sent Wagner. The Russian military played the background for security. Wagner went to the front lines. The Wagner troops worked. Look it up. They worked. The Ukrainians worked. They would have, and they worked. It wasn't just Ukrainians. American troops, British, Australian, Italian, all of them. You see their tattoos and their body parts all over the place, literally melting the entire hotel that these foreign mercenaries are living in. We didn't stand a chance. We never did. Trump is telling you, stop trying to get us into this fight. We're not going. Trump would rather the country look bad or, be upset with him than to have a pissing contest and let somebody trick us into declaring a war against a country that we cannot win against.
A lot of times. You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October.
Bro, and you were out there trying to get the ops elected over us. You're only here kissing our ass because we won. You're not even a friend of ours. Fuck out of here.
Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to.
What are you speaking about? What do you mean? You literally was campaigning with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden a few months ago. You're only here now kissing our ass because they lost. You're a fair weather friend. You'll be a friend to anybody if you need them. You're the worst kind of person. You have literally no self-respect. You have no boundaries. You're just a hoe. You will literally go wherever someone's going to give you money. Whatever administration is going to give you some money and buy you a dress so you can do your little jiggly dick dance Anybody that'll buy you a new outfit so you can jiggle your dick in, you'll go be friends with them. You're here kissing our ass right now. We know it. And why aren't you wearing a suit? Why are you coming in here dressed up like you're about to go to lunch or go where you just got done shooting at someone or some kind of sniper? You're none of that. You're like 5'3". Put on a little tiny man suit like Pinocchio or something, you know, like some kind of like a puppet, and then show up and be presentable. What are you doing?
Save your country.
They're trying their hardest to save them. They're trying their damnness. Zelenskyy says he respects President Trump, but does not owe him an apology. And he's still in our country talking to us like this. Why hasn't anyone just reached out and touched him? I shared all this. If you're on X right now, Safe and Effective Podcast or Club Rico Podcast, look it up. I share these articles so I can get back to them.
People to see what's going on. I think it's very important. That's why I kept this story so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have choice.
No, you're ungrateful.
You're buried there. Your people that died. Soldiers. Listen.
Stop arguing with me. Why is he arguing? And look at this retard. Look at this idiot right here. Smart. I'm so embarrassed for my country right now. Trump and Vance speak to the word of God, but do the opposite of God. I'm so sorry, Zelenskyy. Bro, how are you watching the same exact interaction, but you're seeing something completely different? I guarantee this woman has no kids. You see this right here? This shows her mental state. You can't reproduce and have kids if you're that. And if you're that, you don't have a husband. She's literally in favor of a war with Zelenskyy fighting against the Russians because Auntie Smart Sassy would never have to pick up a gun or risk dying in it because in America, we protect women. God, I wish that women get their full equality where they're now expected to do things that men do. Man, I wish that would happen one day. Hiding behind your gender, but begging for a war. Bro, this is just insane. And then this dude is arguing with our president because our president doesn't want us to go to war. He does. And you're literally siding with the guy that wants us to go to war and our men die? Are you sick? Are you mentally ill?
Running slow and soldiers. There would be a damn good reason. Then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go. I want this. Look, if you can get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war, but
I say you don't want to see
to you.
I want to ceasefire because
bro, listen, there are no guarantees. Matter of fact, when Biden was president with the European Union and NATO, I think there's 35 guarantees. And you know what that did? Not a damn thing. Again, there is nothing that we have in NATO combined that could stop the Russian Federation from steamrolling all of Europe. The only thing that stops Russia from steamrolling the United States right now is the ocean. Two of them, the Pacific and the Atlantic. That's it. The Oreshnik is something we don't even understand how it works. They have weapons that we cannot even fathom. We were trying to get them to demonstrate it, and they're not showing us no more. They gave us one sample, and they haven't gave us a sample ever since. And the Oreshnik, look it up yourself, was so impressive that they did a media blackout the next day. A brand new wonder weapon was used against the Ukrainians, and no one talks about it in Western media anymore. That's how bad, that's how amazingly destructive and effective this weapon was. And this guy wants to trick us into bringing our young men and women into fighting in a war that we are guaranteed to lose.
you get a ceasefire.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
And there wasn't
Ask our people what they think about a ceasefire. Fuck what your people think about a ceasefire. Who cares? They're dying. The only time you got say so is when you're winning. If you're losing and you're at the mercy of other people and you're begging them for help, you don't have any say. You are a child right now, Zelenskyy. Because remember, he blocked the letter Z. He blocked the letter Z out of the alphabet in the Ukrainian. That's how obsessed he was with Putin. And people, that's why Jackson Hinkle would always say, put Z's in the chat. Because Zelenskyy, and because he didn't want you to use the letter Z, because it was something to do with the Russians wiping out the Nazis. And it was, so that's why we call him Zelenskyy, but it's really Zelenskyy. He is a child. The Ukrainian people have no say-so. They can't fight. They lost the fight. When you lose, you have no say. You have no power. You're out.
Well, that wasn't with me. That was with a guy who was not a smart person. That was with Oresky. It was your president. Excuse me.
So what is our president? That's over now. Yeah, he was our president. Past tense. He's gone. Go work. Matter of fact, if you like him so much, go back to him, Zelenskyy. Why are you over here wasting our time?
With Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
And that's where Trump messed up. You shouldn't have gave him javelins. You shouldn't have gave him a goddamn thing.
Yeah, I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks.
And they didn't take out shit. Our tanks got destroyed. Our cheetahs, our leopards, all of our tanks from matter of fact, I remember they were shipping tanks from Greece and from other countries in the EU to the Ukraine, and the tanks were being wiped on the first day they arrived, to the point where the British military was saying, hey, the tanks that are from us, we don't want to show the public how they're being destroyed so easily because we try to sell them to people. Zelenskyy, can you take our tanks off the battlefield and kind of put them in bunkers somewhere and hide them? Thank you. That's how worthless and useless these tanks and these F-16s were against the Russians. This is ridiculous. And he's arguing with Trump. Trump's trying to give him a way out. Trump is literally trying to give this man a way out. He's arguing with Donald Trump. Are you fucking insane? Listen, like the video, share it. Other people need to be in this conversation because Twitter's lost its mind.
Obama gave sheets. In fact, Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards. It'll be a tough deal to make.
There's no, for one thing, this is contingent on if, and I say if, it's not even a guarantee, if the Russians are even, okay, for one thing, if you're winning the fight, if the fight is going the way you're going and there's nobody that can stop you, okay, even with Trump, what cards do the Americans even have to play against the Russians to save the Ukrainians? The sanctions don't work. They already started building their own separate economy using their own currency backed by gold. There's literally a BRICS currency that they're already implementing. There are already countries in Africa that have already outlawed using the American dollar. The sanctions made the Russians stronger. They're already getting away from using the dollar because they're still doing business without it. We don't have any leverage over the Russians. Oh, we're going to let you get back your money that we stole. You shouldn't have stolen in the first place. We're going to let you back in the SWIFT so that you can do electronic transactions. The Russians and the Chinese built their own SWIFT version of SWIFT, and now they do their transactions through there. So what the infrastructure? So just because Trump's back for 4 years, they're supposed to they're supposed to just toss away the infrastructure they've been building for the past 4 years to get around sanctions. They're supposed to just trash it and just hope that whoever comes in after Trump doesn't do the same thing that Biden did. Even we don't have any cards right now, and nobody wants to talk about reality. Jiggly dick. I just can't believe we're arguing with a man who's begging us for help.
What if anything? What if the bomb drops on your head?
He's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What do you mean, what if they break the ceasefire? Then they break it. There's nothing we can do about it. Next question. I wish Trump would just be more direct and say that. Like and subscribe, share the video. If you don't understand international politics, now you do. I try to simplify it and explain it to you in layman's terms. I'll be back on. I need to drink some water. I mean, just watching these videos is just literally ticking me off. Just the levels of disrespect are just it's just unseen. Just looking at this guy. Zelenskyy shuts down the Trump-Putin talks. Demands $205 billion from the West to keep the war from ending. Says he will not accept any peace negotiated by Trump and Putin. Who the hell does this guy think he is? Who does he think he is? And you know what else is crazy too? What else did he do? Because we're not going to war against the Russians. Definitely not for the Ukrainians, not for anybody. I wanted to see about how today they actually he canceled the mineral deal. This guy. And I wanted to actually show you guys that article. This is kind of funny.
My name is Volodymyr Zelenskyy. You're probably wondering how I got here.
Funny. This is Victoria Newland. People don't want to do these. We don't want war. She's saying call for a ceasefire now. She's talking to Ursula von der Leyen, and she's actually a huge war criminal, war hawk, trying to push this crazy psychopathic war against the Russians. But without the Americans, they can't do it. Thank God we have Donald Trump. Thank God for Donald J. Trump. Oh yeah, this is also funny.
Pretend like it never happened. I mean, just walk into the staff meeting on Monday morning like it never happened? Sure. You're an emotional person. People don't take you seriously. Okay. Pretend the whole thing never happened. Never happened. I was blowing off a little steam. So what? So what? You're entitled. I'm emotional. That's right. You're emotional. Never happened. Never happened.
So that's so tomorrow. That's going to be Zelenskyy. He's going to just pretend like today never happened, and says, "Oh, I was emotional." You know, he's going to just show up to work the next day like nothing ever happened, like he didn't just like he didn't quit. Because today he quit, and not a quiet quit. He loud quit. Because there's no fixing today. There's no fixing today.
But he didn't break it with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if he can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful.
By the deal, he means the rare minerals deal, because again, the only thing that would keep the Russians from taxing that ass even harder and going all the way to, the only thing that would possibly slow them down is if the United States can show that they have an agreement with the Ukraine where they own certain things in the country. Then the Russians might make a deal with the president of the United States and say, you know what? Maybe we don't have to go all the way to the Polish border. Maybe we'll just, take over certain key areas and we won't destroy and level the whole place. Because you guys have these agreements and we know you're going to be having your workers here. You're going to be building an industry. Zelenskyy turned that down. Trump basically was saying, if the United States owns the Ukraine, then maybe we can negotiate with Russia to not destroy the Ukraine because it's owned by the United States. And there's not going to be a Zelenskyy pushing for a war. We don't want war. The problem is with the American presidency is that it only lasts 4 years, and hopefully it'll be J.D. Vance or a Ron DeSantis that will come into office next. Problem is, even DeSantis is a war hawk. He's a war hawk for Israel, so I don't know. He might be a war hawk for the Ukraine. I don't know. That's the only problem with DeSantis. You know, he's so damn wishy-washy.
It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of thing. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side is exactly in love with, you know, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Yeah, you know, playing a tough guy is not diplomatic. Anybody can pretend to be hard or to be tough. But who's going to actually make sure that we bring peace and stability? Peace by strength is a strategy that you can use when you have a much, much weaker opponent. That won't work against the Federation. But you have to know the capabilities. Donald Trump and all of our sane generals know that we cannot fight the Russians, and we shouldn't even try. Too many people will be lost. We lost in Vietnam. We gained nothing. 60,000 American men. We have generations of homeless vets because they can't ever get that out of their minds. War is hell. We can't go back into war for just any reason. If aliens were attacking, we'd need to talk about even going to war against that. Because sometimes the loss of life is not worth the loss of sovereignty. You know, if you got to give up some of your land, but at least you guys are going to stay alive, you got to do what you got to do. Life, you can always come back from life. You can't come back from death. You know, there was a country called Burma that is now called Myanmar. We didn't go there and stop that transition. We didn't go intervene there. It happened. It's over. A new country. They got rid of all the people. Some people, you got to just let them meet their fate. The Ukraine doesn't need to exist. It's already a part of the Federation. Now we'll be back under the fold of Russia. The Russians don't want to take the Ukraine back and deal with insurgency and, you know, yada, all those problems. But it's like they don't have a choice. You know, we're fighting in one of these wars as an option, I guess, for fun. The Russians are fighting. The stakes are different for the United States and for the Russians. It's not the same stakes. The stakes are not the same. We can't even compare them. Oh, I couldn't stand that piece of shit either. But yeah, the mineral deal is over. Let me see here. Ukraine. That's from a few days ago. So they agreed to it, but they said he pulled out and he didn't sign it today. The Ukraine agreed to a mineral deal with the U.S. Kiev will now give 50% of all future mineral revenue to a joint fund, but gets no security guarantees. A security guarantee won't do you any good anyway, because if something happens and the Russians breach it, we're not coming over here to fight. We'll give you some weapons. You can go crash out on your own, but that's not a guarantee. That's right where you are right now. So that defeats the purpose. Lynn Rothschild, Ukraine hopes its mineral deal will dig it out of a hole with Trump. The later agreement will clarify the security guarantees that Zelenskyy initially wanted as his quid pro quo for offering up the country's mineral resources. Basically, pay for play. You basically are paying the United States to protect you. And because you don't have money, you're going to give them access to your rare earth minerals. That's how you're paying us. That's your compensation. That's our quid pro quo, in case you're wondering what that phrase meant. Very tough demands. Ukraine agreed, but today he did not sign off on it. Breaking news. It went extremely bad for Zelenskyy. The signing of the mineral deal is off. No press conference. It was a disaster for the Ukraine. The clown show is over. Time to surrender and beg Putin for mercy. Abso-fucking-lutely. I have been saying this since the beginning. Get on your knees, beg the Federation to spare the lives of your people, and offer your own life in exchange for mercy. That's what a real leader would have done under these circumstances. But instead, he wanted to save himself over everyone else. Trump said this, I believe, on Truth Social. We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion. And I have determined that President Zelenskyy is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage. I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. I don't even know why the door is left open. Why even leave the door open? I get that Trump wants peace, but Jesus, how much are we going to take? How much abuse are we going to take? After Zelenskyy demands another treat, Trump tells him to sit, be quiet, and be a good dog, all in front of the cameras. The deal they were going to sign to give $500 billion in Ukrainian minerals wealth to the United States corporation looks like Washington humiliates its own puppet. Party for Socialism and Liberation. Weren't the Nazis? That's what the Nazi stands for, National Socialists. Never mind. You know what? Everyone just writes their own interpretation of history, I guess. Who am I, right? President Trump gussed over his outfit. You're all dressed up. Trump was trolling him. He wasn't serious. People thought that meant something.
Spelt out to you what happens if you don't come to an agreement over this rare earth minerals deal in terms of what it means for US aid.
As I said, we want successful agreement. And if we will understand each other with partners, I hope that it will be. We will sign the first agreement or memo on which base I will prepare other documents. So I hope that it will not have influence on other steps of the United States, and they will not cancel or stop or freeze any support, especially military support, to Ukraine.
Yeah, this is obvious a few days ago. That's over. No more money, no more weapons. And Trump just said, he made it very clear in his last statement. The reason that Zelenskyy feels that he has a leg to stand on is because he's standing on our legs. If me giving him money and weapons is where he gets his attitude from, I want him to be, Trump's going to knock him back down to reality. Putin, this guy Zelenskyy just screwed himself. He cut short with the talks over the deal. The U.S. accuses the country of rare earth minerals. The U.S. access to the country's rare earth minerals. Trump berated Zelenskyy for being disrespectful. The pair planned to sign an agreement. I'm in the middle for both Ukraine and Russia. Yeah, Trump is in the middle. Trump is playing everybody. He's a World War WWE guy, the con, the businessman who likes to win. You know, these are just people criticizing Trump for literally no reason. He literally did the best he could to stay neutral. But these people they want to go to war. Even though, because they're not going to fight in it. Look at this person. A woman. A woman. I'm surprised. The only thing missing here is her rainbow flag. Everybody you see hating Trump that wants to go to war, woman or gay. And everybody who's against Zelenskyy, who wants to stop war, straight. Zelenskyy reminds me of an Israeli diplomat. Tone and tenor. Never thankful. How some people compared the plight of the Palestinians to the Ukrainians was beyond me. This is in 2022. Following year, Netanyahu emulated Zelensky on the hog for billions from Uncle Biden. Yeah. Like and subscribe, share the video. I hope I was able to bring some of this into context for you. I'm going to make some cuts and do some smaller versions of the highlights of this video, but just insane. We let someone come into our house and talk to us like this and disrespect us while begging us at the same time. You talk about a spoiled, ungrateful child. It's an understatement. Anyway, this is Right Wing Rico. Follow the page on YouTube if you can. The link is in the bio. If you're watching on X, just go ahead and just like the video on YouTube. Actually, it's hard to find the video on YouTube. The name of the channel doesn't show up in the search bar all the time, so you got to hit the link in the bio. For the most part, I'm focusing on X and Rumble anyway. I'm not monetized on YouTube, so it doesn't matter. I don't think I will be monetized. My conversation is a little too spicy. I only have a couple of ads that I run anyway. So anyway, we'll talk some more shortly. We have a couple more topics for today, and I'll be back and talk to you soon. Thank you, and see you soon.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.